Today is not just another day. Today is another chance to make your possibilities come true. Fantastic Radio UK, home of possibilities.
All right. Ooh, yeah. Well, oh yeah. Here we go, y'all. Sing a little message out to those of y'all who feel like you're struggling. Yeah, it's a simple song. Yeah. La, da, 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 la, da, da. Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy.
Empowering conversations, current affairs, and collections of fantastic music made with you in mind. Thank you for choosing Fantastic Mornings. This is Fantastic Radio UK.
Very good morning to you. A lovely morning to you. Good morning to you, Simone Uncle, on the other side of the radio. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah, I'm well rested. I had a busy Saturday.
Okay.
And it was in celebration of a young couple that were
You mentioned
moving
it.
into home. So that, you know, it's nice little milestones to celebrate with them and the family, extended family. So it was lovely to have that. And then yesterday I spent mostly recuperating, but it was good. All good.
Resting, and you feel much rested.
Yeah, it was a long evening or a long celebration on Saturday, but we had a good time. So yeah.
I see. I had a lovely weekend as well. I went in, spent some time with some friends, and went running. And a lovely friend of mine is started a jazz band. He's been wanting to turn his dreams into reality for a very long time. He's always wanted to have a jazz band, and he's always postponed it. He's had a beautiful career, but it's always been a passion and a desire he's always wanted to manifest. And over the weekend, he's been talking to me about it, and I felt, okay, let me just call him and find out how he's doing. He said, "Listen, where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm here. Just come through." So I went through, and he had about 9 of his friends. I know some of them anyway.
Nice.
Who came through, yeah. So they started talking and gisting and documenting and writing how things were going to go. So within a few seconds, he put his piano, started playing. I just put out my sax and bits and pieces here and there. But
hang on, stop. Okay, he started playing the piano.
Sorry,
he started playing the piano.
He started playing the piano, yes.
And who was playing the sax? You can't drop these things in and then quickly, gloss over it. Who plays the sax?
Yes. Bits and pieces here and there. And
Kojo. No. Who played the sax?
Oh my God, myself. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know you played the sax.
Yeah, but I play the guitar as well, Simone. I play the guitar as well.
Oh, wow. My goodness. Well, there you go. Wonderful.
Yeah. I never told you that I sing, do I?
Oh, actually, no, I have heard you sing Happy Birthday.
Okay, yeah.
And you actually did it well. So, yes.
Okay, you never know. Coming up.
You have a fine voice. That's fine singing voice.
So thank you. So we caught up, did all sorts, played some music, and did some jam. We call it jam. you know, on
Nice.
his basement, and it was lovely. It was fun. We had another friend who's proper saxophonist who came through, and we, you know, we practiced and did some wonderful stuff. I'm just going to be on the backside watching them because they are looking into full-time jazz band. So
Lovely.
that's what they did. But I was, you know, I was so glad to have seen him to start, not just wait till the perfect time for him to start, and not waiting because my conversation with him was, listen, we're not getting any younger, and if there's anything we have to do, let's do it now. You know, let's do it now. Let's learn. Let's step up and make it happen. But one thing he said to me, he said, I've been scared. I'm scared that, you know, I'm scared. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to put myself out there and fail. I don't want to put myself out there and not carry through. And I said, that's why we are here. That is why we are here. Let's all rally around and see how we can stand with this man. But I have to say, he has prepared himself. So even though he was afraid, even though he was scared, he did it anyway. And
exactly.
that's, you know, the
Which
weekend.
is, yeah. I think a lot of us sort of find us, whatever the scenario is, a lot of us find ourselves in that kind of juncture where we sort of say, it's either now or never. But also the real lesson is do it afraid. Sometimes
do it afraid.
Step through that kind of, you know, that
do it afraid
moment and get uncomfortable. In order to get comfortable on the other side, you need to sort of learn. And it's, you know, it's not a great feeling at the time, but you know, you feel kind of euphoric and victorious afterwards. You know what I mean? So, you know, we just hope that the same experience for him, that he's gonna get through the other side, and he's had it all well prepared, and that he'll, you know, be victorious on the other side of it and look back and say, oh, what was I so scared of? So we hope that he's going to do some great things. So, yeah,
you know what you just said before we go and start music and take off. Good morning to everybody. Because myself and Simone, what happens is that myself and Simone, all we need to do is to start talking, and we can talk. We can talk, right? Sometimes, I mean, myself and Simone, we can just talk. So we want to say good morning to everybody who have logged in. We want to say thank you so very much for logging in and joining us on Fantastic Radio, on Fantastic Mornings. My name is Simone Uncle. My name is Kojo Bonti Amwaku. But Simone, carrying on from what you said, and I will prepare and get into music. By the way, we have the beautiful show for you.
We do.
You have heard her before, and she is with us again today. And
she's so good the first time around that we had to have her back. So
I like that. I like that, Simone. Thank you for bringing that up.
It's true. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that. But I want to sort of, you know, add to what you said, Simone, as in doing things and carry on with it, and regardless of the insecurities and the fear, just doing it. Yeah, over the weekend, I was listening to some tapes, some videos with my son, and I heard him say something. He said, "Daddy, we can do it and do it imperfectly well." And I said, "What do you mean?" Wow. He said, this what a young man, a 13-year-old boy said to me. He said, "It might not be perfect, but it will be imperfectly well." And I'm thinking,
it sounds like something you would say. It sounds, you know, that sounds like, you know, his father's son. He sounds a lot like you.
Right. Okay. Moving on right along. But Simone, you know, but Simone, you know what I picked up? I asked him, so where does it come from? He said it comes from a growth mindset, because on primary school level, they teach these things, isn't it? You know, they teach growth mindset and all that. And he said to me, we will still do it, or you can still do it, or people can still do what they are doing, and they can still do it imperfectly well, so that you don't get hindered, you don't get stifled, and you don't get blocked, because it's not perfect. So it won't be perfect, but it will be imperfectly well. And I felt, I like this word. I like this word. So that's what I did over the weekend, and I'm looking forward in having a brilliant time today with our guest Kuumba Nia, who will be sharing with us few of her nuggets out of her book and what she does. Today happens to be, or today he would have been 43. Kobe Bryant.
How? 43?
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Kobe Bryant. He would have been 43 today. So we want to say, you know, rest in peace. But, you know, we're still sending the condolences to the family and also to his team and also to everybody who lost Kobe Bryant. But again, he has a book called The Mamba Mentality.
Mm-hmm.
The Mamba Mentality. I will recommend for anybody at all. It's called, Mamba Mentality. Let's do music, and as soon as we come back, we will get the conversation going. Thank you, Simone. Uncle, on the other side of the radio, and we are going to have a beautiful time. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Good.
You can reach Simone Ankle via Simone at fantasticradio.co.uk and connect with her on Twitter at Ankle Simone.
All done, mate.
Great. I'll just get some cash.
No need. I'll take card now.
No contract, no monthly costs, just easy, flexible payments. Sum up, make your business official.
Well, they build their houses in preparation for the king, and they line the sidewalks with every sort of shiny thing.
Right, where should we start?
The monkeys!
Okay, we'll start with the monkeys. Then we'll see the elephants. Then the rhinoceros. Then we can see the penguins being fed. Then we'll have some lunch ourselves, but not fish. Then we can see the snakes and the creepy crawlies and the tigers and the lions. Then I'll buy you an ice cream. Then you'll wind me up. Then I'll lose it, and then I'll hit you. Then we'll see the camels and go home.
If you thought about it first, would you ever hit your children? Hit means lost it. For advice and information, call the NSPCC on 0808 800 5000.
Connect with Kojo on Twitter at bontiamoaco or on email bonti@fantasticradio.co.uk.
Very much welcome. You are very, very much welcome. 7:14, spending time with you this morning. It's Simone Uncle on your radio. You find Simone on Twitter at Uncle Simone, or you find me on Twitter at Bonti Amwako. You can get in touch with Simone at Bonti, at Simone at fantasticradio.co.uk, and myself, you can get in touch with me at Bonti at fantasticradio.co.uk. We'll be talking to our special guest today, but we have prepared a meal for you this morning, and the meal we prepared for you, here we go. In the past 18 months, businesses and the wider economy has been disrupted by the existing pandemic. At this point, we are unsure what the future would look like. Many sectors have been doubly hit, where jobs losses, rise in inflation, and financial instability are widespread. without any clear future plan. Some of us find we lack the ability to prepare whilst there's constantly changing rules and uncertainty. Lockdown has provided us with the opportunity to reassess our finances as our spending habits were transformed by the season's amount of time we spent at home. From leaning on investment in stocks and shares to thinking more about pension, something that crossed my mind over the weekend. I was listening to the pension bee lady on television, and I had to look into my pension and find out how the pensions are being structured. I was listening to the news when Brushi, the finance gentleman, was also talking about how pensions are going to be revised, and it crossed my mind, and I had to get back to the drawing board and find out how my pension will be reconfigured. Because as you grow, as you mature, it's a thing that crosses the mind. The first thing, whilst we don't recommend that anyone should rely on money manifestation as a financial plan, it's found that many young people are becoming interested in one of TikTok's most loved trends called money.
And you did say recently that you opened a TikTok account. I'm not quite sure what you've done with it yet, but you was really getting really clued up on all the tech, and I was quite envious as well. The TikTok thing was like, I'm lagging behind. I need to up my game with that. So tell us a bit more about TikTok.
It's a beautiful spot. You go in and you learn different things. You go in, you have people dropping snippets of content. It's not as prolonged as other platforms, as the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that. It's quite.
But it's not all entertainment stuff.
No. There are there's a lot of useful content on there. There are people who coming and they share. They will share things like financial advice. There are people who are there to share marital advice. There are those who are there sharing stuff on health. So it's quite straight to the point. As I said, it's quite succinct, straight to the point, and the delivery is done excellently. So so manifestations, as we read it, said manifestation is an attempt to speak something into existence, to change beliefs on reality at the deepest level of the subconscious mind, whether that's relationship, finance, health, or creativity. Over the past few months, money has become the focus of many people's manifestations, with the tag money manifestation reaching 29.1 million views on TikTok. Money manifestation techniques include spoken affirmations recommended by a TikToker to listen to or repeat yourself regularly, as well as practicing not folding notes in order to respect your money.
That's interesting.
Very, very interesting. I'd love to speak to Kuumba about that, about the manifestation and what she has to say about the manifestation of money and her position with planning and manifestation, and how we go into that state where we can move and make things happen. In fact, she talks about the power of you and you as an individual. She goes into it, and I wouldn't bore listeners too many times, but I want to read something here. That's one of the ways of getting your finances together. And Simone, I love this write-up that you brought up here, is a create a budget. It's a create a budget. Work out a budget. Working out a budget can be a good first step in managing your money worries, as it helps you to track your spending, work out what you can afford, and see where your money is going. I must confess, Simone, I was never a big budgeter. I was never, I just spent as it came and, got on with it. But when you start budgeting, you notice quickly you are in charge. You don't you don't feel as
overwhelmed
vulnerable.
with it. You
don't feel vulnerable. At least you can track and you can monitor. You can monitor where your finances are. You want to read the rest?
Oh yeah. The final bit is there's so much more advice out there, but we've tried to sort of encapsulate it in three things. It was a TikTok manifestation app, which is a new thing, and it's been successful. Like you said, you had how many thousands of people of views on that?
29.1, yes.
Wonderful. And then, of course, creating a budget is almost standard advice, but a lot of us don't follow it. Even sometimes I might sort of do it on one occasion and then forget the next, so to keep that consistently, especially in these times, is a good thing to have, be able to budget. And the third thing is to get free debt and finance advice. If you're struggling with money or debt, it can feel like there's no way out. But there are lots of organisations who provide you with clear advice and help to come up with a plan to feel more in control. The Money Advice Service provides free confidential advice online and over the phone, including debt advice, locator tools, and online debt health checks. There are lots of specialist organisations who offer further advice and support, which are the Citizens Advice Bureau. People will be familiar with that name. Step Change Debt Charity is another. And then there's also National Debt Line and the Debt Support Trust. So these are pretty much 5 organisations that we kind of highlight that people can sort of go to for more details on how to manage their money. The first was the Money Advice Service, Citizens Advice Bureau, the Step Change Debt Charity, National Debt Line is the other, and the final one is Debt Support Trust. These are all organisations that are free, giving free advice about money management. Should you feel that things are kind of slipping through your hands and you need to gain more or regain more control over your spending and budget power.
You rightly know that the whole of August we've been dealing with entrepreneurship, we've been dealing with business, we've been dealing with everything to do with the body, soul, and spirit, and very much to the life of the entrepreneur as the person. Our special guest today deals with business mastery, and today she'll be sharing with us the power of you and why this one thing is crucial to the success of each and every business. Kuumba has helped many business owners to find their way through personal crisis. Whether you are an entrepreneur or someone with an entrepreneurial hope and dreams, her entrepreneurial approach to life and work, and how she helps people to find that power of you. Now, let me just say this. This woman is good. She is brilliant. Okay, so expect some nuggets, and everything she says for me, are nuggets. And I would say you would have to pay attention to this woman. She was with us the last time, and this time you are going to see her. You are going to hear her, and we'll point you to her website. See how you can work with this woman. Go to her website, get to know what she does. She is an executive and leadership coach and a keynote speaker, holistic personal development and energy therapy teacher, a Reiki master, an author. She's written a book called The Circle of One, How to Heal Your Relationship and Live Your Truth, and is a creator of the Me Mastery Diamond program. Wow. She was with us last time.
She did,
and
yeah.
And as Simone said, we had to bring her back.
We have to bring her back. She also was offering a free sort of consultation, really.
Yes.
And I did sort of take her up on some of it in terms of actually she sent me some notes, which are wonderful, actually. And like you said, you call it nuggets. I call it sort of very succinct steps. Or,
yes.
So, sometimes we sort of get bamboozled with business coaches, etc., and some of the language, but she's so clear and relatable. And I really love her style of actually conveying what's needed to be done. And in that simplicity, you're able to actually take affirmative action with whatever your challenge is. So I really love her style. And yeah, love to actually hear more from Kuumba Nia, please.
Good morning. Good morning.
Wow,
good morning.
Hello. Good morning to you.
It's good to be back. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome back.
How are you doing, Kuumba?
I'm doing really well. It sounds like the two of you had very exciting weekends. I didn't. I haven't been in my house for, I think, about 4 weekends in a row. So this weekend was just home doing the normal stuff. But yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
You've been doing some work and sharing and teaching the power of you. And what is the power of you, and where did it start, and why do you teach the power of you?
It's interesting. Your opening this morning was something I was really happy to hear, because over the last 18 months, it would appear that people have lost faith, belief in themselves, they've lacked confidence, they've been thrown by this uncertainty that's been created by a global pandemic. Right? So fair enough. And that's a reasonable reaction to some of the circumstances. But what I witnessed was that people had given away their power. It was as if the belief that everything was going on outside of them, that all of the events that were outside of them, they could not control. And they'd almost given up their power. And so the power of you as a phrase was coined just because I wanted to be able to say to people, it's not all about what's going on out in the world. It is about who you are and how you show up. And the ultimate power resides within you. It's about who you are, what you bring to the table. It's about the things you tell yourself, and it's about ultimately the responsibility that you take for yourself and your life.
Kuumba, where do you think this sense of powerlessness has come from? Is it the consistency of the news sharing some of these not so exciting content? I'm not saying that the news or the media platforms should not share the data and the facts, but would you say that the way it's been presented is it hasn't been very inspiring, and it hasn't been more encouraging? It comes across as if you can't do nothing about it. You are going to go down with it. Where do you think that powerlessness has come from with this whole thing?
I think it's an extension of the way that we're raised generally. We are, if I'm honest, we are socialized to believe that power lies outside of ourselves. We can't declare ourselves to be an expert. We can't trust that we know our own bodies, even that we know who we are. We are always reliant on other people who deem themselves to be experts. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with other people deeming themselves to be experts. But you can't know more about me than me. And if I'm doing my job properly, then I've got a handle on who I am. At the very least, I am asking the right questions. I'm challenging myself. And I think our society is one that says, well, actually, so-and-so knows. This advisor knows, the government knows, medical professionals know. And that's not to say they don't. But there is this careful balance between recognizing that you know as well. And the starting point in a world where things feel as though they're outside of your control, the starting point is always with you. And that's not what we're encouraged to do. The media, I don't watch television. I listen to podcasts all the time. If I'm in the car, I might hear Radio 4. But I really don't watch television. And I don't because there is a constant stream, a barrage of how depressing, how difficult the world is, how horrible people are. Just a barrage of negativity that does not serve us. It doesn't serve us. Yes, know what's going on in the world. Just don't make it rule everything that you think and believe.
It's funny, you're talking about the power of you and the investment of your time, money, but also protecting your energy, as you've just said. Protect your energy in terms of actually filtering what you expose yourself to, so that it can actually reserve good energy and positive energy for the things that you need to be productive with. So that kind of encapsulates a little bit about the power of you. In your book, The Circle of One, How to Heal Your Relationships and Live Your Truth, please explain a bit more about some of the terms. So in the terms, I believe there's about 4 kind of areas that's focused upon, which is the self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-determination, and self-actualization. And just wonder if you might be able to expand on those key points, please.
Yeah. Self-knowledge. Many of us have self-knowledge to a degree. So we know some of the things that we do. We tend to use our awareness. We tend to refer to our self-knowledge in terms of, well, I don't do that, or I'm this kind of person, which is fine. And it indicates a level of knowing the things that you do, things you like, things you don't like. That's, however, limited. What's really important is a self-awareness, which is about knowing what you will do in certain circumstances, not cutting off and defining rigidly who you are and what you do and what you don't do, but your awareness of how you operate in certain circumstances, in terms of what triggers you, in terms of the kinds of things that will have you in reaction, excuse me, in reaction to something rather than in response to something. Because being in reaction, you give your power away. Most of us get triggered and are on this train before we recognize that actually we lost control. And in fact, we gave it away. So self-awareness is something else entirely different. Self-determination, I remember way back many years ago, reading Kwame Nkrumah. And Kwame Nkrumah had talked about the right to rule or misrule ourselves when he spoke of Ghana. That, for me, is self-determination, that you are able to take responsibility for yourself, to make decisions that determine where your life goes, how you feel, how you choose to feel, actually, and what you create for yourself, whether that's in your business, whether that's your personal wealth, whatever that is, but it is the right to rule or misrule yourself. And that only comes when you know yourself. The last one, in terms of self-realization, is a journey for all of us. It's about becoming what Neil Donald Walsh talks about as the grandest version of the greatest vision of who you really are. It's you at your height.
Kuumba, no. You
like
can you repeat what you just said? It's such a beautiful phrase. What did you just?
The author Neil Donald Walsh wrote some years ago a book called Conversations with God, which turned out to be a trilogy and then was followed up by a number of other things. But there is a line in there that I love, and it talks about becoming the grandest version of the greatest vision of who you really are. Not who you've been told you are, but who you really are in essence.
Amazing. Wow. I'd need to actually look up Neil Donald Walsh actually and find out a bit more about that. That's really great key phrase as well. You also offer something called the Me Mastery Diamond Program. And this is something you offer to your clients because, of course, you run a consultancy in all of the knowledge and the information you're imparting today. So can you tell us a bit more, what people find at kuumbania.com, and the Me Mastery Diamond Program?
Okay, and the Me Mastery Diamond Program has undergone a number of changes over the years, but in essence, what it is, it's a 9 to 12 month program. It depends on what people choose to do, and it takes you through your life story. It takes you through the major stages of your becoming, and I do that through. And this is to bamboozle people in the morning. This is not my intention, please forgive me. But I work energetically. So my focus is on chakras, and each chakras are the word chakra is a Sanskrit word for spinning wheel, and it talks about vortexes of energy that run through the human body. But each chakra pertains to a particular age, a particular set of emotions, physical organs. And what I do is I go through each stage of life in 7-year increments, and I take you through the impact of those things, the impact of the events in your life on those chakras, which are part of your development, your energetic development.
Kuumba Nia is her name. To know more about Kuumba, you go on Kuumba Nia, KUUMBANIA.com. There's a feedback that's coming through from time to time. We'll have to get the feedback sorted. But to know more about Kuumba, you go to Kuumba Nia. Her contact details are here. It's Kuumba as in C. Did I just say C? It's KUUMBANIA, Kuumba Nia at iCloud.com. So you go on. Oh, I've got it wrong. Okay. We would get it all sorted. I see Kuumba dangling saying, okay, so you go on Kuumba. It's Kuumba at kuumbania.com. Kuumba, am I good?
Yes, you're good.
Right. So it's Kuumba at kuumbania.com. You go on Kuumba at kuumbania.com. Send an email to her. When we come back, I'd love to talk to her about her discovery calls. What do people get when they call through? And when they work with her, what are some of the things that they discover with themselves? The entrepreneur calls in. The person in business for some time calls in, and he or she is trying to figure out, where do I go from here? Does she work with them? Does she work with entrepreneurs? What kind of entrepreneurs does Kuumba work with? We will come back, and as we come back, she will share with us and go into detail of the work that she does. Let's do music, and after that, we'll be Kuumba Nia from kuumbania.com. Good morning.
Passion, creativity, and resilience are the most crucial skills on the entrepreneurial journey. If you've got those, you're ready to embark on the journey. Fantastic Radio UK. Your business, your possibilities.
Hello? You to me are everything, the sweetest song that I could sing. Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
A mobile top-up card and 2 helium balloons, £17.
Who picks you up each time you're down? Oh, baby. Wait.
Making your girlfriend laugh, however far away she is. Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard, accepted for all kinds of tricks and treats.
Yeah.
Lyrics on the beat. When you told me that you love me, I looked in your eyes and I thought it was real. When I told you that I love you, it came from my heart and so it is real. But what's love if you...
All done, mate. Great.
I'll just get some cash.
No need. I'll take card now.
No contract, no monthly costs, just easy, flexible payments. Sum up, make your business official.
Nimekuchagua wewe nikupende mama, sitaki mwingine, auishi usiniache, usinitende mama, usipende mwingine. Moyo wangu ni mwepesi, umenikalia chapati, nafanya vituko kama chizi, kukupenda sitasizi. Moyo wangu ni mwepesi, umenikalia chapati, nafanya vituko.
If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. Fantastic Radio UK. Your dreams, your possibilities.
over the weekend, I was listening to a friend of mine who had come in after we had been to the jazz team and we were talking, and he said, I like that particular jingle. And I said, what particular jingle? I said, I didn't know that you listen to the station. He goes, don't be silly. I listen to the station. I said, but you don't tell me that you listen to the station. He said, I listen to the station. And he likes that jingle very well. Kuumba Nia, you are welcome back. And guys, you are very, very much welcome back. Her name is Simone and Kojo. My name is Kojo Bonti Amwako. And our special guest is Kuumba Nia from kuumba.com. And I would want to say, Kuumba can be reached on her website. You go to Kuumba at kuumbania.com, and every information will be there. Her email will come through again, and Kuumba will go into it. Kuumba, before the break, I was talking to you about whether you work with entrepreneurs. And because the whole of this month, we focus in on people in business and entrepreneurs and people who are running their own enterprises, and also those who work in corporate environments and how they can be entrepreneurs and how they can look at things from an entrepreneurial perspective and taking action and taking responsibility. Do you work with entrepreneurs? And what do you speak to concerning taking responsibility as a business person?
Okay, so for me, the entrepreneurial journey is an extremely lonely one. It can be very, very lonely. And we've had many conversations about that.
Yes, we have. Yes.
When you're working for someone else and you're entrepreneurial in your thinking, that can be such a challenge because you are confined by particular constraints of other people and their goals and their aspirations. It's really important that you keep hold of your own, right? We can come to that in a moment. But what's important for me is that in order to embark on the entrepreneurial journey, there are some things that you need to be aware of, you need to take into account, you need to step forward and own yourself. And hence my reference to self-awareness, because you need to know what that looks like in your world. You need to know what taking responsibility for yourself and your business looks like in your world. Right. So, for example, one of the things that, one of the things that I find with entrepreneurs who want to start a business or who are at the early stages, they don't fully. One of the things, just one, which covers so many things, is that they don't often. Let me say this, tact and subtlety are not my forte. Sometimes they find themselves not treating their businesses seriously. They treat their businesses like it's something they can dip in and dip out of. And the capacity that we as human beings have for self-delusion results in us thinking that we're doing lots and lots of hard work and we're staying up late and we're going to bed late. We're going to bed late and we're getting up early and we're doing our utmost to get things done. But actually we're dabbling, we're playing around the edges. We're not being honest with ourselves and we're being quite deluded. And we'll know that because when we look around, there are certain results that we see. So there are things that we won't have in place. There are decisions that we won't be making. There will be a demonstration of our business moving in fits and starts. So we'll do something well with complete clarity and certainty, and then we'll fall back and we'll feel defeated and we'll feel misunderstood and overwhelmed. And that's okay, that's part of the journey. But the point that I'm making is that an awareness and an honesty with oneself about that is what's important. And that's why being aware of who you are in these circumstances is probably the best thing that you can do for yourself.
It's quite an empowering state. It's such an empowering state. But sometimes, Kuumba, it can be tough. It can be tough. It can be very unsettling. You going through this high seas of great ideas, and it can be very challenging. And even with knowing yourself, you can walk in self-doubt, and you constantly trying to figure out your way forward. And my understanding to what you are saying is to really know thyself, is the knowledge of self, and being able to say, listen, I am wrong, I am weak, I am strong here, and I'm willing to go ask for help. I'm willing to stretch. I'm willing to put myself in that place where I can do what I do and do it well. And if I'm struggling, I would go and get support to shift my energy. Talk to me about keeping your vibration high. How does a person in business keep their vibration high? And what is even keeping your vibration high?
Well, Simone touched on it. There are a couple of things. One is that let's look at the internal and the external environment. Okay? Externally, you are bombarded with news, whether it be the TV, whether it be the radio, whether it be actually depending on what channels you follow, etc. Online, that can be problematic as well. So it's about being mindful about what you take in. It's about what you take into your own mind and your heart that you embody. It's about your environment, your physical environment. It's about how clear that is, how light. I'm not asking for people to be, the most house proud people. What I'm saying, and if you ever look at the circle of one, you know the adage, as without, so within. If your space is cluttered, if your space is untidy, that is an indicator of how you are feeling and what's going on in your own mind.
Right.
So, yeah, it's important that your external environment is calm. Your external environment is calm, and it adds to your internal environment. So you're mindful of what you take in. You're mindful of the people you surround yourself with. There is a wonderful book, I've just finished reading it, and I'm going to read it again, by somebody called Rachel Rogers. We Should All Be Millionaires. Simone, as a woman, as a Black woman, and for women of color and other marginalized groups, this book is amazing because it talks about some of the things that get in our way when it comes to running our businesses, and it looks at our personal environment as well as our business environment. One of the things that Rachel Rogers talks about is how she talks about friends. She does a review of her friends once a year. So the people who have added to you, the people who have contributed to you, the people who you feel that you've grown as a consequence of, they get to hang around. The ones that you stop and you think, I haven't heard from them in about a year. When they call, they only drain my energy. They don't add anything to me. Maybe they don't need to be around for much longer.
In those scenarios, though, would you also raise that concern with the friend rather than do this kind of
a culling exercise?
Culling, yeah. Because it sounds kind of harsh, but I understand sometimes we consciously or subconsciously do that. We will do the culling thing because we think, okay, this really is not serving me. I'm not feeling encouraged or supported, and I'm giving of those energies, but I don't receive it back. It's not reciprocated. And sometimes, we'll sort of subconsciously might do the culling thing, and it, relationships will fall by the wayside, kind of thing, on account of not being a reciprocal relationship or exchange. But would you raise a concern with that person?
Most definitely, because the relationships that fall by the wayside are the ones that are not feeding you. They're not serving you, and I don't mean as in you're using the person, but they're not serving your growth. But when they fall by the wayside, it's because you have not made a decision to actively, to consciously address that dynamic.
Yes.
Right? And so, yes, you would have a conversation, and you'd have an honest conversation. And honest conversations are difficult for people. They are definitely difficult for people. But I think you always start with, what is my motive, and how do I feel? What is my truth?
It's funny because Kojo mentioned about the knowing yourself part of your guidance in your notes and your book. And I'm just also kind of, my other question, I suppose, would be forming from that would be, knowing yourself is not always an easy question. It's like when you're in an interview, a formal interview, and they sort of say, tell me about yourself. and think, okay, what bits do I share, which bits I don't? And also sometimes it's still part of you don't always know the answer straight away. Even if it's a conversation about you might think, okay, how do I actually surmise this? There's so many parts to me and facets, and how much do I want to share and make vulnerable to another? So is it okay to be to ask the question of yourself and say, well, actually, this is just part of the discovery, really, because sometimes the energy shifts, doesn't it? We become new versions of ourselves in every few years, a more mature version of ourselves, perhaps, and we don't necessarily see it all coming. You know, things develop and circumstances, environments change, and we change with it sometimes, and we don't always. Yeah, we don't always have the answers to sort of say, oh, who am I? The version of myself maybe 20 years ago, certainly not the person present in front of you today.
All of that.
Yeah.
All of
so
that.
is it part of the discovery? Is that discovery okay to sort of say, actually, I don't fully know where I'm going with this or where my journey is, but I know this bit about myself, but I don't know myself in another circumstance until I'm challenged.
I love that. I so love that. Two things. One, we are not just changing every 2 years. You are not the Simone that you were yesterday.
Oh,
never mind
yesterday.
Last year, the year before, last week, last month. Because everything that we experience is part of our becoming. It's part of who we are evolving into. Right? So that shift and that change is ongoing. All right. So there's that. There's also the fact that I suppose what's most important is asking the question to know. It's not, I mean, it sounds very, very flip when I say it's not necessarily the answer, but it's true. It's the exploration of the question. It's asking yourself, and again, it's a conscious awareness. So in my book, when I talk about healing your relationships and living your truth, it's because in order to do that, you have to go there. You have to ask the questions. You have to challenge yourself. If there's somebody, for example, whether it's in life or in business, there is someone who is bothering you. There is someone whose energy doesn't sit well with you, or who manages to rub you up the wrong way. Your question is not about why so-and-so such a plonker. Your question is, what is it that's bugging me? What's the facet of me that person is reflecting? If they're being unreasonable, if they're being demanding, if they're being impatient, where in your life are you being that way? It's about asking the question. The exploration of the answers is the payoff.
Right.
Kuumba, whilst talking, so this whole entrepreneurial thing can be very vulnerable. I'm telling you, it's very vulnerable and it's very revealing, and you would have to ask yourself some major questions whether you really want to do this. And it's okay to say, I'm struggling. It's okay to reach out for help. And I've always advocated for getting support. I've always being the flag waver for support. Go for support. If you are struggling, ask for help. Sometimes it's expensive, sometimes it's not that expensive, and sometimes all you need to say is that, Simone, I'm struggling, can you help me out? Or Kuumba, I'm struggling, can you help in lifting my hands? Because I'm struggling, because I see a lot of people in business doing over and over and over, doing the same thing. And sometimes you want to just hold them and say, listen, all you need is to ask for help. Because if you don't ask for help, you get tired. And when you get tired, you start feeling lethargic. And if you start feeling like that, you don't want to move on anymore. And we start these things and we drop it because we just did not ask support. How important is asking for support is for the entrepreneur, Kuumba? And I will come to your discovery call.
Well, actually, the answer is very similar, because it's absolutely vital that you ask for support. And you ask for support, not just in terms of asking for help, but probably the number one thing for anyone who's embarking on an entrepreneurial journey, accountability. You and I all need someone to hold our feet to the fire. There are promises that we make to ourselves that we don't keep, and there is often an absence of commitment, not just promises, but a commitment to doing the work. And when people don't have anyone, be it a friend, family member, coach, consultant, whoever it is, when we don't have that, it's very easy to slip off. It's very easy to say, well, we didn't tell anybody this is what we were doing, so we don't do it, and it doesn't happen. That happens over and over again, especially if you're working full-time, you're in an organization, and there are other things that you have to do in addition to your full-time job. That's problematic. You mentioned the discovery calls. When people come to me, when people come for a discovery call, what we do is we look at what's going on in your life at the moment. What's the current situation? How are things playing out for you? What's getting in your way? I had somebody who called me the other day, and my focus is entrepreneurs and leaders, I suppose, people who want to do great things in the world. And she has an organization that she's leading, and they've had quite a challenge financially, obviously, because of COVID and funding, etc. But she knew it was taking a toll on her, not just in the organization, and she also has a full-time job, but also in terms of her family life. And so we were picking just some of the things that she could identify as being contributors to the way that she was feeling, but also how the way that she was feeling was impacting on those areas.
Right.
So
Right.
So the calls are very much about what's going on with you. Where is it that you need help? Where is it that there are gaps in your understanding? What is it that will assist you in moving forward? And the discovery calls are a complimentary offer. They're not charged for at all. What they are is an attempt to give you some clarity, some focus, and a direction to move forward in. And with the best will in the world, we all need that. We all need that. And I started off by saying how lonely the journey can be. You can sit for hours with the madness going around in your head. And I say this from experience. I know you're having conversations. There's think and double think. There's self-doubt. There is the absence of self-belief. There is coming to something that we raised earlier about not trusting yourself, just not trusting the decisions that you make. So much so to the point that you become immobilized, debilitated by it, and you cannot function. You cannot do the things. So that need for support is about sometimes it's something as simple as just emptying your head. It's something as simple as saying it out loud to someone else and hearing that. Sometimes it's about somebody reflecting that back to you. And as I said earlier, sometimes it's about accountability. I want to do this. I'll be doing, my intention is to do this by this date. And then somebody to say, by the way, Kojo, did you remember that thing that you said you were going to do? Did you do it? So yeah, the need for assistance, the need for support, the need for community is another thing. Is that, again, it's important that we find people who are in similar positions, people who are positive, people who have ambition, people who want to do more, be more, have more. And we surround ourselves with those people because that's what lifts us up. That's what keeps our vibration high. It's what keeps us moving forward.
The Circle of One is your book. It can be purchased on Amazon, and when anybody calls your office or emails you at Kuumba Nia, they can always get the book. As I said, I've read the book, loved it, and loved the Circle of One. Describe to us the Circle of One, the book, and as we recommend people to go to the bookshop to get this particular book, what is this book all about, and what is in there for the entrepreneur?
So, The Circle of One, How to Heal Your Relationships and Live Your Truth, was written and based on a very simple premise that everyone and everything around us reflects a facet of us. So when we want to be pointing fingers at other people, you see this? These fingers are pointing to me. All right, forget that one. It's these ones that matter.
Like that.
you know, I touched on it earlier in terms of our physical environment reflecting how we feel. So the Circle of One looks at a personal development tool that helps you do that. It takes you through a number of steps to come to an understanding, to come to an insight and awareness of who you are being in that moment at that time, as reflected by your environment and the people around you. But it also has 7 principles that are guides, not just for life, but also for business. So we talk about being at cause, right? So one of the principles of the Circle of One is that you are at cause. Well, let's start with the first one. The first one is we are one, and we are one is about self-awareness. It's about the way we are connected to each other. Being at cause is about taking charge. As an entrepreneur, you need to take charge. There's nobody else going to run your business besides you. Keeping your vibration high. It's about. I love that. As without, so within. Taking inspired, aligned action. You cannot run a business, or anything for that matter, if you refuse to take action. And not just any action. We're not talking
inspired action.
Yeah, inspired and aligned. And when I say aligned, I mean aligned with you. Sometimes we suffer from procrastination. We suffer from procrastination not because we're lazy, not because we're bad people. It's because the thing that we are wanting to do, the thing that we're needing to do, does not resonate, does not line up with who we are and how we're feeling. Sometimes it's about not having the information. Sometimes it's about not knowing how to implement it. Sometimes it's the basic one right at the beginning, which is, well, not having the insight, not having the inspiration to do the thing. And when we know that, then we can say, okay, I've been trying for ages to take my business in this direction. So for example, social media for me has always been a challenge, always. And it took me a while to work out that what it was that sense of broadcasting to people that I didn't know. I didn't have faces, I didn't have an energy to attach to it. And so I used to put it off constantly. And I'm just getting back on that bandwagon because it didn't gel, it didn't sit with me. But until I knew that, I couldn't take the action that was necessary. I couldn't make a decision about whether I wanted to do it or not. It just felt very bad because I kept putting it off. And that's what we're doing. We're talking about getting an insight into who we are and what works for us and what doesn't work for us. So when I talk about inspired and aligned action, the alignment is really important. And the last one I think I'd like to touch on is about trusting yourself. Is about trusting not just yourself, but, and this will sound very, very strange to some people, but trusting that every single thing that occurs in your life occurs for your highest good. I don't believe, and this is my personal belief, that we are here to suffer. I don't believe we're put through a spiritual school that has us passing tests or failing tests and tripping up and making our lives difficult. I believe we are here to grow. I believe we're here to grow, and everything that occurs in our lives, even the things that feel so challenging, are contributions to us becoming. So yeah, those are some of the things in the circle that would help entrepreneurs, I feel.
Simone, you got something to say?
No, I'm just trying to keep up and encapsulate what you're saying, and there's so much to digest, but really it was the key points for me, I think, was protecting your energy, you know, whether it's external media or some review of our relationships, those things. And then also not necessarily having all the answers straight away, you know, to know yourself to an extent, but also taking yourself forward through affirmative action and trust is part of the discovery process for yourself and learning new things or facets of yourself, really. So yeah, I really have enjoyed this, and it's more for me to take away and to learn and evolve with, really. So really thankful for your time, really. I've enjoyed this immensely.
Thank you, Simone.
As always, Kuumba, every time you speak and every time we meet and we share, you pour into me, and from your fountain I drink from, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I respect, I admire your work, and I have a great admiration to the work you do. And I'm looking forward in doing more conversations with you. What I've picked up from this conversation is taking inspired, aligned action. And today, the 23rd of August, I'm going to go out and make sure I take an inspired, aligned action. Her name is Kuumba Nia. Go on her website. It's kuumbania.com. KUUMBANIA.com. Kuumba Nia. kuumbania.com. Or you can get in touch with her at her email is Kuumba at kuumbania.com. You go on her website or send her an email and she would most definitely respond to you. Kuumba, I want to say thank you on behalf of the Fantastic Radio team. We want to say thank you very much. We're looking forward in doing this again, and thank you for the knowledge that you shared with us. Can I say bye-bye to you now?
Yes, and if they put the word checklist in the subject line, I will send them a checklist that will summarize all that we've covered today.
Wonderful. Have a good day.
Thank you.
And have a lovely time. Yes. Guys, we'll be with you on Wednesday. It's been Simone and Kojo and myself, Kojo Bonti Amwako Kuumba Nia. I've been a guest. Take care and have a lovely day. Bye-bye for now.
The empowering conversations with our guests. The riveting music we share with you. Thank you for choosing Fantastic Radio UK. Home of possibilities.